Hey, afternoon, everybody. It's KB5 MIQ, big boy. Thought we'd talk a little bit for the end of the week out, see how everybody's doing. Seeing a lot of new techs telling they're getting their licenses online. That's great. Glad to see these guys getting on there. Got a little subject I want to talk about today. Before I get into that, I want to remind everybody of something. We're at 378 on subscribers right now. When we hit 400, I've got an odd little giveaway I'm going to do. I've got a mint condition copy. This is my copy here. The 1992 hardcover ARRL handbook. I'll tell you how we're going to pick a winner when we hit 400. We're going to give that away on the channel. I'll pay the postage to send it to you. You may be thinking, this guy, why is he giving a 30-plus-year-old book away? Well, I do realize the modern digital stuff's not going to be covered in there. But everything that book covers on antenna principles, propagational principles, operating principles, everything other than modern digital is still applicable today. Wealth of information in that book. And I think it would be, especially a new ham or a person wanting to become a ham operator, would be a good addition to help them out in this hobby. So we'll talk about that when I hit 400. Like I say, we're only 22 away from that. So hopefully in a couple of videos we'll have the 400 hit. I want to thank everybody who likes to listen to me talk. Really enjoy doing these. Did a lot of instructing in the military and some in my civilian job, but I always like trying to help people out. I always try to tell people things the way I would prefer it told to me. So, okay, on today's subject, like I said, between HKV and DLX and myself, we get a lot of these ideas for these videos off ham radio pages, watching questions, reading questions people ask, and the answers they're getting. Hey, ham radio cat, come on up here. And this, and I've talked about it in a couple other videos, and I'm going to talk about it again. The term starter radio. I know, and the experts' heads may explode for me saying this, but any term that you could tell a new ham, well, come on, about ham radio and using the term starter radio, in my opinion, that's just my opinion, is the worst term you can use for this reason. This is an expensive hobby to get started, especially on HF. It's not expensive at all to get on local repeaters, especially reach over there. According to DLX, one of my many bail funds, 25, $30, you're on a repeater if you're close enough. But if you want to get on HF, you are looking at a bigger outlay of money. And to me, say, and I seen this guy said, I've got enough money to buy a 718 ICOM. They got them on sale at such and such for $600. I don't know if that's the right price or not, but let's say $600. First, and this ham, okay, well, that'd be a good starter radio for you, but you'll need to purchase a 7300 down the road. Why would you tell that new ham that? You have no idea what his budget is. And not everybody has got the Platinum Visa card with no limit to buy ham radio gear. I sure don't. That's only my second HF rig since '92 that I've ever had. HKV has been a ham. I'm 62. HKV, I think, will be 59 this year. He's been a ham since the middle '70s, since he's a teenager. And he's only on his second transistorized HF rig that I know of. I think he had he built a Heathkit HW101 tube rig. He had that, and then he's got his old Konar CW rig. But he hasn't been that many radios. DLX on his second radio, and he's been a ham, I think, since '09. He's a little younger than us. He has to hang out with us, listen to colonoscopy stories. But that's getting off subject there. But when you tell a new ham, hey, that's a good starter radio, You don't know what you may have done. If he hadn't spent that money, the first thought in his mind, like, what? Starter radio? I'm fixing to pay $600 for this one and I'm fixing to have to buy another one? I don't think I want to fool this hobby. How many people do you think might have dropped out of this hobby for that very reason? For that very reason right there. Now, if you've got a souped up ever bell and whistle radio on you're proud of, hey, that's great. Tell them about it. Hey, I've got this radio, but this radio costs this much. Uh, you've got to look, you new guys that's wanting on HF, you've got to look at a lot of factors other than just radio. And be prepared when you ask questions to old guys like me. I mean, I'm not going to try to tell you. I'll promise you I will never use the term starter radio. But I'm going to ask you a few questions like, what's your, hey, ham radio cat, Aaron, old buddy, #1 fan, there's ham radio cat. What's your class license? What are you wanting to operate on? How much room do you have? Do you have a shack? Do you have a place to set a radio up? Are you under any kind of antenna restrictions where you live? And what's your budget? Okay, and I'm going to tell you right now, my first radio was an ICOM 701 that I sold a gun to be able to buy because I didn't have the money. I gave $300 for it used and wished I'd have kept it. I sold it at a Hamcom in 09. It had some problems, and I got 150 out of it broke. I should have kept the thing and tried to find somebody else to fix it, but I didn't. Sort of my gun trading type days are going on. But like this rig I've got now, this Yaesu 897D, I bought in 07. And I bought it, I believe, on the initial order, one of the last orders I made with AES before they went out of business. I think that's who I got it from. Might have been HRO, but I think it was AES before they went out. I bought the 897D, a Van Gordon G5RV antenna, a Diamond quarter wave 2 meter 440 antenna, and a Diamond 2 element 6 meter beam. And I already had the power supply. So I think that initial bill was like $1,200 right there. Now, and I've heard people recall this 897D a starter radio. You've got to look at what you want to do and your budget. That's the biggest thing. But the term starter radio just sets me off. You know, HKV, I keep talking about him. He's been kind of my Elmer in this. He's the one who got me into this back in 92, and he'd been a ham since the 70s. You know what kind of HF rig he runs right now? An ICOM 718. Been a ham since the early 70s. If anybody's past the status of having to have a starter radio, it'd be him. But he likes it. Now, the more money you spend on an HF rig, the more features you're going to get, like more filtering, different modes. The 718 doesn't have FM on it. 897D does. And it had options for other filtering I didn't pay for. I just use mine the way it is. Cody's on, he's had an 857 and he's on an 891 now. He's been to great Yaesu radios. Good operator. Makes a lot of low band contacts with them. Jeff's been on it and been operating this hobby for years, CW and voice. I'm a voice operator. I've got 44 states and over 40 countries that I've worked personally. No more time than I have to get on the radio. And I don't call myself using a starter radio. The terms that we tell these new guys things, we got to be careful with what we're saying, and we're going to be putting them out of this hobby as quick as we're getting them in here. That's the thing that bothers me. We're going to be getting them out of here as quick as we get them in here. And then when you start bringing up, well, they need to bring CW back, it's turning into CB bands. Okay. I'm going to give you my 2 cents worth on that. And this, again, I'll make experts' head explode. When the FCC changed, I think in 06, 07, and changed it to a tech, general, extra class license with no CW. I jumped up and upgraded to general. You look at one of my earlier videos, I've told everybody why I can't do CW. I wish I could. Right now, it's just physically impossible for me to do it. I did pass 5 word per minute CW. Barely, but I did pass it. Now, here's what I wish they had done in retrospect, after being on the air more since 06, 07 when I upgraded. I wish they had left the license classes alone. I wish they still had novice you had to start with, and then tech, and then general, and then advanced, and then extra, and just drop the 13 word a minute up CW requirement. Still make you required to learn 5 word per minute CW. Anybody can learn 5 word. If my deaf butt can learn 5 word per minute CW, anybody can learn 5 word per minute CW. And they already had medical clauses in place when I got in, if you just absolutely couldn't hear it. And the reason I say that is this: it gives you more learning curve on learning radio. If you come in here as a novice and you're wanting to talk on a radio, you had to have a 10 meter rig. You couldn't talk on the 2 meter 440 repeaters. You had to start out on 28 megahertz. And that got you exposed to radio. Then by taking the tech test, it was you gained the VHF frequencies. And same with general, amateur, and extra. But nowadays, when everybody starts out a tech, and we got different ways of thinking nowadays in young people than we had when I started. And when you start out as a tech right now, and $25, $35, you're on the air, that may be as far as they go. They may not ever invest another nickel in it, especially when they find out the money that has to be spent, and then they hear the term starter radio. That's just not a good term, in my opinion, to tell a new ham. If he's a tech, he's only limited to sideband anyway. So it ain't gonna hurt for him to buy a full up HF rig if he wants to. Don't tell him, oh, don't buy an HF rig because you may be tempted to talk on the other bands. If he's took his test and understood the rules, he's not going to do that. Even some of the people I knew back when I got in 92 that were hardline rule holders never told me that. And that one of them was one who found me my 701, which was an all-band HF rig. So you can't tell, don't expect somebody just going to start talking on another band. In fact, it's too easy to check license class now, even than it is then. But help these guys get on HL. Ask them questions. Ask them what their budget is. Ask them how much room they got in their shack. What kind of antennas they're capable of putting up. But don't tell them if they've picked out a radio, it's a starter radio. Now, the experts' heads may explode when me saying that, and I'm sorry, but that's just how I feel about it. The old 701 I had, it was a sideband CW 10 through 160 rig, had RIDI on it, sideband upper lower CW and RIDI. It also had, it wasn't general coverage transmit and receive, but it had the Mars frequencies, which were off the end of the 20 meter, 40 and 15 meter band. It had enough band coverage to cover those Mars frequencies. And it come like that from the factory. But if you looked at it, and you can find them on eBay today, the VFO knob is all the way over here on the right, and the frequency counter's right above it, all the way on the right side. Big old round knob about that big. One of the old hams that gave me my novice ticket test told me, well, that's a good starter radio for you, but you need to get a real radio, son. One that the VFO knob is in the middle. I'm sitting there thinking, what? Why would you tell me that?
Again, it's ham radio. So when you ask questions, be prepared for your answers. That's all I can say. Guys, try to stop using the term starter radio with these new guys, because I guarantee you we've lost some people in this hobby just from that term. When they say, "Hey, I got $600 to give for this radio." Well, that's a good starter radio, but you'll need to buy this one down the road. Huh? Why? And then they say, I ain't gonna do this no more. Anyway, just my views for the day. Well, thank everybody who subscribed to the channel. We're looking forward to hitting 400 and give that book away. And remember, Main Trading Company in Paris, Texas. I didn't get to go to the Shreveport Ham Fest. I had some family issues come up. Main Trading Company was there. It's a good place. They're online also, where you can get pretty good buys on ham radio gear. And I think he's going to start doing the sidewalk sales again this fall. I hope he does. Facebook pages, your club pages, Four States Amateur Radio, Dallas, Cowtown Amateur Radio, Shreveport Amateur Radio, all good place for information. Ham Radio, Flea Market, Trading Post, Texas Amateur Radio, Elmer's. Look up any of them. Like I said, if you know a new ham that don't mind listening to an old guy just talk like me, but I try to put out factual information, and I try to give it to you in a manner where I'm helping you make your own choice, not telling you to do what I'm telling you to do. Tell them about my channel. I'd like to keep doing this. I enjoy making these. My KB5MIQ is my call sign. My email's posted on my QRZ page. If you got a question, please shoot me an email. I've had several, and I've answered them. I try to answer every one. In the subject matter, put your call sign or hey KB5MIQ or something, kids, because I get a lot of email and I don't want to miss one. Leave me a comment. I try to answer every comment. I have answered every comment on YouTube, with the exception of a couple that YouTube for some reason wouldn't let me answer. Thanks again everybody who subscribed to the channel. Hope everybody has a great week. KB5MIQ, Big Boy 73.